2 weeks ago, I brought up the hashtag AnyTube Doesn't Suck initiative TaserLad started to raise awareness for the Animator Dormitory project, and along with donating some money myself to the project, opened a poll to see which critically derided show I should do an old school anime retrospective on. Turns out you people really like ghost stories. Gakkou no Kaidan, literally Ghost Stories of the School, is a 20-episode anime from fall 2000. Miyanoshita Satsuki moves to a new school with her crybaby younger brother, only to find that the school has an old, unused building that nobody goes into, and when the two of them are drawn inside, they discover that it's infested with recently freed ghosts that her mother, who died in hospital, had sealed away when she was a student. Satsuki begins a journey to exorcise all the ghosts, joined by a slightly perverted jock, the school nerd, a frail psychic upperclassman, and the ghost possessing her cat. Well, that's the version of the story you get when you watch the Japanese track. Let's switch to the dub to make a comparison. Ghost Stories is a 20-episode anime released by ADV in North America in fall 2005. Satsuki Manshita, or sometimes Miyanoshita like the original, moves to a new school with her babbling younger brother. The school is still haunted by the ghosts sealed by Satsuki's mother, who died in a gay conversion camp, and this version of Satsuki and Keiichiro are joined by an extremely perverted jock, a porn addict, a preachy fundy upperclassman, and the ghost possessing her cat. That last one didn't change. The prevailing story, and the one that the cast and crew have told at convention panels for 15 years, is that Gakkou no Kaidan had performed poorly in Japan due to being really boring, so Aniplex, who wasn't licensing their own shows at the time, had said that ADV could do whatever they wanted with it. But when you look into it, that may have been what the people who worked on this adaptation were told by their bosses, but it isn't entirely true. This show was licensed at a time when 4Kids was still active. Most anime licenses had approval of just about any changes baked in, and the Ghost Stories license only stipulated that the names of the characters and the names and legends of the ghosts had to stay the same. But it wasn't that much of a failure. Anime as a whole was performing poorly that year, and it ranked pretty well among anime of the time. Forums and image boards had Momoko as a candidate for Best Girl of the Season. The show got multiple DVD releases, and it's been rerun multiple times. And yes, it runs 20 episodes, but that doesn't mean it was cut short for low ratings. Ghost Stories has one missing episode that was never aired anywhere, and the rest just fell victim to a common curse of fall anime, being constantly preempted for sporting events. So, if it wasn't really a failure, maybe it didn't suck. And since the Japanese track is also on the DVDs, I watched it to find out. The Japanese Ghost Stories has the same basic overall plot structure, just without the often offensive jokes. Something weird is happening in town, and Satsuki and friends always have to root out the ghost, find their weakness, and perform an amateur exorcism. The simple formula works for a kids' show, and they change it up fairly often. For instance, early in the series, they tend to find excuses to send the cast back into the old schoolhouse, but later on, they expand to around the town. It actually isn't that boring on its own, albeit immature. The dramatic moments fit a lot better in the serious take on the show than they did in a gagged up that didn't know when to stop joking. And the voice work is pretty solid, particularly the late Kawakami Tomoko as Satsuki, although it takes some getting used to if you're familiar with the dub. Maybe it's just me, but it's weird to listen to Momoko and hear Zetsu from Tokyo Mew Mew when you're expecting Monica Rial quoting Bible verses. That's one of the most obvious low points. Most Western fans are used to the gag dub, and without it, Ghost Stories feels a little lacking, stepping down to a by-the-numbers kids show. On the other hand, some elements of the original, such as a running gag about panty flashing and the ending theme, Sexy Sexy, feel out of place in a kids show, but fit in a raunchy comedy just fine. And for some reason, the Japanese voice actors seem to pay less attention to the lip flaps than the dub cast did. I can definitely see why there wasn't much that would have attracted the original target audience in the West in 2005, especially since ADV was unsuccessful in getting TV deals for their stuff, and kids weren't the ones buying the DVDs. Remember Wedding Peach? Yeah, Ghost Stories likely would have gone the same way with a purist-friendly dub. After the original ADV DVDs had gone out of print, Discotek License rescued Ghost Stories, re-releasing it in 2014 in the same format as that first release, with the sub and the ADV dub. However, the special features explaining the legends were only on the ADV release. Crunchyroll has both versions streaming as well. There was also a truer-to-the-text dub produced by Animax for South and Southeast Asia, with the title Ghosts at School, but this never got a home video release anywhere. Originally, the show wasn't well received in North America, but bolstered by word of mouth and the stories of the supposed reason for ADV's creative liberties, it became very popular, winning awards for the dub that the box sets proudly displayed. The cast are still asked about the show to this day at conventions, and Ghost Stories has become known as a dub that even dub haters will love. I came into this intending to trash a poorly made show, the likes of the other options I listed on the poll, but what I got was a half-decent series with a few questionable moments that wouldn't have flown as is in 2005. But maybe it deserves a shot. With a fresh audience, anyway. We still have the dub, so nothing's stopping you from watching that if you want to hear the kids swear and make fun of George Bush. I might have failed at giving you a show that sucked, but there's one thing you can still do. The Animator Dormitory Project is still accepting donations and is almost funded for the year. The people who make the shows we love are in many cases overworked and underpaid, and this initiative is set to help make their lives a little easier by providing housing and support. A few AniTubers have been working to raise awareness and money this month, hence this video. Check out the link in the description and give some help if you can. This is Secret Identity Studio, and I feel like I got off easy.